What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a how to clean your graphics card, but not with a spoof can, but we are actually going to tear the graphics card down and get all the crap that's behind the fans in the whole heatsink completely cleaned out, put the card back together in a nice working order. So we're going to jump right into it. Before I forget guys, make sure you like the video, leave a comment down below if you like what we're doing, and go check out my TikToks. It's shorter versions of these same videos along with anything else that I find interesting, little vlogs here and there, and tips and tricks. So make sure you go and do that. I really appreciate it. Now to the video. Alright guys, so with anything with computer repairs or cleaning, you want to be very careful not to damage the internal components. Today, to take this apart, we're going to use our iFixit case. Nice rip. I'm not sponsored by iFixit in any means. I would love to. Their products are amazing. But for today, start with, we're going to need a Phillips bit. And in here, it's kind of hard to see with the fans, there are little screws that hold these brackets in place. Little Phillips screws. So we're going to take those apart. Just like so. It's not going to focus on this, kind of. So these little Phillips screws, this is what holds the main cover. So this plastic around here, that's what holds that on. Holds the fan on as well. So we're going to pop all of these out very carefully. Okay, and with that, our first fan is loose. If I did not say this before, this is a 1660 Super by MSI. It is a Twin Frozer 7. Okay, second fan is loose, as well as our shroud. Okay, now I'm going to try and show you this. So this graphics card has a light in here. So if you can see in there's this little wire and it plugs right in here on the board for the graphics card. What you're going to do is you're going to just very carefully, I'm going to use a pair of pliers, or a pair of tweezers, I should say, right here. And we're just going to carefully unplug this here. Maybe. They're not the greatest pliers. Well, I was going to. There we go. So that popped loose. Now we should be able to meander this out of here. Oh, there is another plug. So it looks like this also has lights around the edges here. So we have a secondary plug right here. And this plug here will be for our fans. It is a two-way plug, so we will be unplugging that in just a moment. Okay, so here's our shroud all taken off. You can see right there a bunch of nasty edges pulled off the side of this. So I'm going to set that aside. And we're going to pull our fans off. Now The fans, the wiring will be hooked in here with these little clips. So I'm just going to bend that up just enough to sneak our wire out. I'm actually going to use this little guy here to get that up just enough that we can pop that out. I'm actually going to use it on this plug as well, since I have it out here. Maybe. Oh, this will pop out pretty easy. Okay, so there are fans. You can see they're fairly dirty. They're on the underside. It didn't look too bad before. Now, here comes the fun part. So, you might ask yourself, why am I going through all this trouble to clean this graphics card? Well, I'm going to show you. Here we have a can of air duster. Now, a lot of people just take and use the air can and blow this out, which works for the most part. The biggest issue you run into is this card specifically, I would imagine, came from a smoker's home of some sorts because it is sticky in here. So there's been something airborne that's been being sucked into this card and it sticks inside the fins here. So what we're going to do is we're going to first use the air can and see what we get out. Okay? Okay. Now, if you notice, it didn't change much. This is why I do a nice big teardown and actually pull the fans out to be able to clean inside of this card. Now, the bottom side of this fin system on the heatsink does not look terrible. I don't see any major fuzzies. I don't see any blockage on the bottom side. It looks like the fins caught 99% of it right here on the top under the fans, which is a good thing, because that means we have less that we actually have to do. You see, focus on my hand. So this is just two fins. It doesn't want to focus. Anyways, just two fins of stuff here, and I've already pulled a good portion of it out. So I'm going to grab some paper towels and maybe even look for a toothbrush, and I'll be right back and we'll get this cleaned. Okay, we got ourselves our paper towel here, and we're just going to, I'm actually going to switch these two. We're just going to start cleaning. Okay, so what you guys just saw was probably fairly short, but this took me about 5 minutes to use this pick to go through. I went through every single fin, as you've seen. So this got the bulk of the debris out. Now, this doesn't look like a ton, but this can restrict your airflow a lot and cause unnecessary heat inside of the graphics card and then in turn inside of your case, which can affect other components. Now, I didn't use any sort of fancy tool other than this little pick here. This can be done with anything. I have done this with a pair of nail clippers with the filer on one end, and just go in between them. You just got to find something nice and small. I've done it with screwdrivers. I mean, there's a lot of household items that you can use to do this. You don't have to have a fancy kit like this. All you really need is a small screwdriver and then something flat to go in between the pins. Now you want to be careful you don't stick this too far in and damage anything on the board. You just want to go under the surface just a little bit and just lift all the debris out. So now that we have all that out, let's see if we can clean up some of this greasiness on here. And for that, we're going to use a handy dandy little toothbrush, and we're just going to go in between and we're going to pull. So that already dirtied our toothbrush quite a bit. Wipe it off here. Now you want to be careful doing this so you don't bend any of the fins on the heatsink. And due to the nature of how absolutely filthy this one is, I'm not going to be able to get this dark ring out, but that is okay, because we're getting all of the loose debris picked up and moved out of the way so air can flow across these fins properly, making your graphics card more efficient in turn. Okay, now we have both sides nice and clean. You can kind of see on the camera, you can see through it now. That's what you want. You want to be able to see these pipes here. We couldn't really see that very well before. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just wiping the top here to get any excess to come off. And actually, you can kind of see that our fan circles have disappeared. I was not sure if they would actually come out, but thankfully it looks like they actually did. So, there we go. Okay, and then to finish it off, we're just going to take a little can of air. Okay, so now we have one nice clean heat sink. You can see all the way through it. There's no obstructions. Airflow can come across this properly and cool the components as it should. Now, with how dirty this was, well, and let me be honest, this really wasn't that bad. I was expecting this to be a little bit worse than it was, so I'm actually kind of impressed. I was going to tear this down a little more, but I don't really see the need to. When you tear them down to this point, you can do a nice deep cleaning. If you want to go further than that, you can actually take this heatsink off and then clean underneath it if it's really dirty. I've had to do that before, but you can then also replace the thermal paste on the chip under this heatsink. Now that is a more involved system to be able to do that. And on today's video, we're not going to do that. If that's something you guys would like to see, learn how to replace the thermal paste on your card, it's not something I can definitely do. But with like everything in computers, do it at your own risk, because there are potentials for problems and failures. And I don't want you guys getting all mad because I told you to replace your thermal paste and then you ruin your card. So if you're going to do it, make sure that you actually have an idea on what's going on. Watch some videos. You can watch my video if I make one on that. And like I said, if you want me to, I can. That's not a problem. But it is at your own risk, because I don't want somebody ruining their card over this. But as for just cleaning, this is pretty simple. It's pretty difficult to screw this up as long as you don't bend the pins on these plugs. So with that being said, I need to clean the bottom of these fans, and then we can get this put back in. Okay, so we got both fans here. Both of them are clean now. What we're going to do now is we're going to take this shroud and we're going to put it back on the card. Now, if you recall, I mentioned you got to be careful. You know, I don't want you breaking your own stuff. Make sure you have a good foundation on what to do. I say that because even if you do, I don't know if you can see this clip right here, just broke while I was wiping the shroud down. Now this is an older card. This plastic has been sitting out or inside of a computer for however many years that it's been since it got bought. So the plastic could be brittle, could be just worn out, it could already be broken from somebody dropping it. So you got to be careful and make sure that you don't damage anything. So with that being said, we are going to attempt to put this back on. Now, what I like to do is try and get the plugs aligned before screwing this down all the way. Which can be more difficult than you think. Does not take very much force at all to pop those in. So again, be careful. All right, so those are set. Let's get our fans set in here. Now, in hindsight, I should have put the fans in first. I wasn't thinking about it, and I didn't do it. But that's okay. So, again, same story. Get your plug aligned. I know you guys can't see it. It's really tight quarters underneath here. So, even if I did have the camera pointed at it, it'd be very difficult for you guys to see this. We found the limitations of the tweezers. I just snapped a little prong off of here. Okay, we got that set. Now let's hook our fan wires back in here. Just bend those little tabs back down. Most important thing is you don't get frustrated and try to rush and break something. Because if you think it's bad breaking something when you're trying to be careful, it's always 100 times worse when you break something when you're not trying to be careful. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the screws in the shroud to hold it in place. Okay, now is the trickiest part of the whole ordeal. Because you have to get these to line up just right to get these screws to go back in. This is going to be the most time-consuming part and the part that scares you the most. Okay, so that fan's in. You can see it doesn't turn. It's because the wire is sticking up just a little bit, making it so it will not turn. So what we do with that is we pop the shroud back off. There we go. The wire had come loose, and just enough. And just like that, we have one nice, clean 1660 Super. Everything spins as it should. And there you have it, guys. That is the deep cleaning of the heatsink on a graphics card. Now, every single graphics card is going to be just slightly different in how they're put together, but just about every single one that I took apart is a very similar design, fan-wise, shroud-wise. I have had a few that had screws through the back plate, or it's not the back plate, well, there was some with the screws in the back plate as well, but on where the case attaches here, I've had some on the end, in some weird places. So when you take all the screws out, if it doesn't just kind of pop out of place and is loose, you've got another screw in there, and you need to find it before you break anything on the card. Because, as we all know, graphics cards are very expensive. This is a 1660 Super, as I mentioned. This was purchased used off Facebook Marketplace for about $100, I think, here a little while back. But I've been looking for 1660 Super because I loved this card for a long time. I just have not had one in so long. I wanted to have another one in my arsenal. We're probably going to do a budget build with this now that I have it all cleaned. And it is beautiful. It's got this nice stainless steel backplate across it with the MSI logo. But nevertheless, that is how you deep clean a graphics card. Now, if you want more content like this, make sure you hit the like button. And also, in the comments, if you want to see shorter versions of this and other small content, make sure you go over to the TikTok and give me a follow over there. We'll be posting short versions of these videos as well as some extra content as time progresses. So make sure you do that. And with that, I appreciate every single one of you. Have a great day and happy gaming.